ICC, Patrick?
Okay, well, look, the backlash again. The Trump threatened that. So we'll go back. He said, look, if they do an arrest warrant on Bibi Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant for war crimes, we're going to come after the International Criminal Court. We're going to sanction the ICC. So don't do it. And of course, Karim Khan, they did indict Netanyahu and Yoav Gallant, and the United States have announced this week that they're sanctioning the ICC, and individuals will be sanctioned as well. So what are they talking about? Bank accounts, debanking people? We're not sure. So there's been a huge backlash to this. And look at Netanyahu sitting there all smug. He's not looking well, by the way. That's another story. But anyway, so this is the coalition for the International Criminal Court. And this is interesting. So this is basically a coalition of people opposing these sanctions. Now, this is significant. This is not nothing. This is a lot of different groups here, and we'll scroll down and take a look at this. But this includes tons of international civil society organizations. We're talking about 140 different groups here that comprise this coalition of people to support the ICC. And this includes, Mike, a lot of allies of the United States, okay, and Britain and NATO, including people in NATO countries. So again, we talked about the dismantling of the USAID and what a great tool that is for managing deep state operations, intelligence agency, subterfuge globally, getting people on side like Sweden and NATO, Finland and NATO membership. That was all done through these civil society organizations here. And just look at the amount of signatories that we'll scroll down and take a look at. But this is not insignificant. The risk here is the United States are now losing, but by sanctioning your allies. This is a symptom of late-stage empire. By sanctioning your enemies and your allies, then you start to lose influence on these networks. It has huge ramifications anyway, but you can go and check that out. We've got that up actually at 21stcenturywire.com here. And so the biggest scathing rebuke has come from Amnesty International. And again, this is highly interesting if we actually take a close look at it here. And this is a statement made by their sort of Secretary General. And she's saying this reckless action sends a message that Israel is above the law and universal principles of international justice. And it suggests that the President Trump endorses the Israeli government's crime and is embracing impunity. This is Agnes Callamard. She's the Secretary General of Amnesty International. But she goes on here, and this is the key bit. The United States is ready to punish an institution, could be any institution, that ensures the individuals most responsible for committing atrocities cannot escape justice. No one responsible for the crimes under international law should be protected or aided in their attempt to escape individual accountability, at least with the assistance of the United States government based on President Trump's political alliances. So what she's talking about here is this relationship between Israel and the United States. Now, she might be a globalist, okay? And so people point out she's spoken at the Davos and World Economic Forum and so forth. But this is important. This is an international network that comprises of U.S. allies, and the U.S. uses Amnesty International to advance its imperial goals. It uses the ICC. The ICC is a tool of U.S. hegemony. And we'll show that to you exactly how they do that. But anyway, she's basically just condemning this attack, and this is going to have a negative impact on the interests of the United States. She kind of explains this here. So this is really significant. By the way, they're using Trump as the hook to raise money now for Amnesty International. So you can see how the influence is kind of going out.
It's just the gift that keeps on giving.
It's incredible. It's literally leaving U.S. hands. They used to have control of this organization. So when I talk about this as a U.S. tool, I'm just going to their cases here. This is the history of the ICC, Mike. And if we just scroll down and take a look, tell me if you notice anything in particular on this. But these are all the basically people that the ICC, at the behest of the United States government, to prosecute for genocide. There's Bashir from Sudan for war crimes, and the list goes on. Now you keep going, and you start noticing something here, Mike. Like, do you notice anything about the people?
Yeah, there's no white faces.
They're all African. They're all African, and they're all from countries that have an adversary relationship with the United States government. So although the U.S. is not a signatory of the Rome Statute, they use the ICC as an instrument of soft power, or in this case, hard power. Look, there's Saif Gaddafi, Muammar Gaddafi's son. He's implicated as well. Again, an enemy of the United States. So the list goes on. There is, however, in the spirit of DEI, Mike, someone did break the color barrier here. This is Joseph Kony. But look at this. Vladimir Putin got indicted back in just not so long ago, over a year ago, and in February 24th, 2024, when the war started with Ukraine, then they began this process to nail Putin. So he is the first white person, technically. Ukrainians won't agree. He'll say he's Slavic. But anyway, he's the first. He's broken the glass ceiling of the color barrier at the ICC. So Putin is a trailblazer in the DEI sense. So this is really important. So this now just think about this. Because of the relationship with Israel, America first they're selling this as America first in America, this attack on the ICC. But you are watching the imperial decline. They're sanctioning their allies as well as their enemies, creating bad relations with their allies. They're paring down the deep state at home and abroad with USAID, the loss of international influence, access to networks, big networks, NGOs, civil society networks. They used to work through those networks to topple governments, okay? Loss of multilateral institution leverage. The UN, the WHO. The WHO is the biggest pharmaceutical sales and marketing organization in the world. And the US does not have any hand in it now because they've defunded it. The UN, the WTO, the ICC, these are all US instruments of imperialism. And this is what the Trump right or the MAGA right haven't fully comprehended, or they have. Maybe they have. But institutions and NGOs are no longer cooperating with the U.S. government as a result of some of these, of their relationship with Israel. So all to protect this special relationship with Israel, the U.S. is losing power and influence internationally. And that's, I think, the main point for people to look at.
And one final point, though, loss of access to markets.
This is huge, Mike. Loss of access to markets. So those markets that the U.S. used these groups to open up, European businesses will enter those markets. If it's all based on cooperation and influence. And so the U.S. is going to have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, indeed. Mark, let's just